Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Knife Delights. What another terrific Saturday morning chat we got lined up. I've got a really special guest today. We have the co-host of the Happy Hour Live. We got the man himself, Big J. Big J, welcome to Knife Delights.
Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this. I know we've tried to get together and with schedules and everything, but here we are, man. It's going to be a good time.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to having your co-host on, Boston Blade Reviews. Boy, you two, I've started referring to you two as the dynamic duo.
Thank
You,
you.
both of you have just hit the scene and just pumped up the knife community like no other. You guys are on fire. Just love both of your enthusiasm and how you've embraced the community. And can you kind of tell me how this got started, this friendship between you and Boston Blades? Because folks, if you're out there and you have a channel or thinking about starting a channel, listen closely because this is how it is done. So go ahead, Big J, let us know.
Okay. Well, I was on YouTube and I was just putting out videos here and there, and I think it was I did a video on that little mini trapper, the buck mini trapper. I couldn't figure out what the scales were made out of.
Right.
So I think he commented on my video or I commented on his, and I was like, hey, can you check this out? Because he was a huge buck guy, and I'd never seen a buck collection like that displayed on YouTube. You know,
Right.
you probably have that many pieces, but he's got them displayed, and it looks like a store almost. So I thought
Oh,
he's
it's
got to
gorgeous.
know.
Absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous. Yeah.
So I started talking to him a little bit, but then it was maybe a week later, Warthog did a video. And in Warthog's video, he had a piece of paper with mine and Boston's name on it shouting us out. Well, me and Boston were communicating kind of through email, which can kind of be clunky because, not everyone's checking their Gmail all the time and this and that. And
Right.
he just sent me an email one time. He's like, dude, why don't we just give each other our phone numbers? And it's a lot easier for us to communicate that way. I was like, I don't got a problem with that. So then I gave him my phone number. We started texting back and forth. And that just blew up into a great friendship. And then he was like, I'd really like to start a live. And I'm like, well, let me see if I can figure it. Because I got a son that lives with me. He's 20 years old. He worked at Best Buy when he was in the high school. So he knows all about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of like steered me, gave me some equipment. And I just reached out to, I seen what RJ was using, the StreamYard. I just looked up
Right.
in the corner.
Right.
So I just Googled that. And one night, I was like, dude, I think I've got it set up, Kevin. And I said, let's just try it, a dry run. Well, we hopped on as a dry run, but then people started coming into the chat. Like yours. The
Yes.
same thing happened when you started yours. And
I was just playing around and all of a sudden everyone's jumping in. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, because Kevin sent, I think I was in bed and Kevin's like, hey, Tom is live. So I immediately hopped on because, we respect you a lot. And so I hopped in there and I'm like, I got to support Tom. And I'm blowing the chat up and Kevin's blowing the chat up. And it kind of snowballed. And then he was like, well, we need to pick a time slot. But I didn't want to pick a time slot when anyone else was live.
Right.
Because we don't, I'm fresh at this. I've only got like 988 subs, and I'm going to do a 1K giveaway. So that should be out this
Awesome.
weekend on how I'm going to do it or what I'm going to do. So
That is awesome.
yeah.
Like I said, and to the viewers out there, these two have just been blowing it up. And if you're not subscribed to both Boston Blade Review and to Big J, you're really missing out. You need to get to know these two guys. Just their enthusiasm alone is what. And I got to tell you, from my experience, it's not even how much knowledge you have about a knife or how good your collection is, knife collection is. It's all about your enthusiasm. That's what
Yeah.
drives people there. And enthusiasm overcomes, well, for me, I try to use my enthusiasm for my bumbling mistakes because we certainly make plenty of mistakes. But
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. And I really think that's what the viewers appreciate is when you show your passion.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you. Because my first couple of videos, I was like, we're kind of embarrassed. We don't want people to hear us. We don't want our family members to say, "What the heck's he doing out there?" So I was
Yeah.
all quiet
Talking to
and
himself. Yeah.
yeah, and they're like, well, So then I was watching some videos, and I was watching. I even forget who I was watching, and I noticed how boisterous they kind of were, and I'm like, I've got to open up.
Right. Right.
I coached football these years. I kind of changed my lifestyle. I don't even watch TV. I'm kind of like into lifting weights and knives, and that's it.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and this stuff, and then once I was like, I've got a good amount of knives. I know how to sharpen them. Why don't I put some videos on YouTube? And it just kind of snowballed into
Right.
tabletop reviews. But I definitely want to do more outdoor content like I've been doing lately. It's just no one really wants to watch it. So
Yeah. I look at some of my early videos and it's kind of like, and this is a buck companion
yeah,
and it has two blades and the blade length is, yeah, because you're just kind of,
yeah.
yeah. I look
Like
at
when
them
I
and
did
I
that
kind of,
marbles, like when I cleaned up that marbles knife, and I was like, "Hey, I did it. I cleaned up one. If you want to watch," I said it's kind of boring, but it's only 6 minutes. But I noticed, brutal. But oh
people love to watch knife restorations. They really do.
yeah,
I've found that I do quite a few of those because that's something I enjoy doing, and
yeah.
for whatever reason, people like to watch it. So,
Yeah, it
but
seems like because Boston was like, you need to do a sharpening video. It's like, dude, I'm going to tell you, Boston, I've done them, and people just don't watch them. So I've got a playlist of sharpening videos. It
mhm,
just people don't want to sit there for 40 minutes and watch you. So you got to kind of cut it down, or however you do it.
you do.
So
Yeah.
when I did his, I cut out as much as I really could, but I still wanted to show everybody. And I did
Right.
get some good comments like, hey, you showed me something I'm going to try out. So I don't know. I just enjoy doing it. I love getting an old one and just cleaning it up like you, kind of.
Maybe you could do a series of videos and just show step by step, but just show the first step in the first one.
That's a
Okay,
great idea.
this is an extremely dull blade, so the first step I always take is and do that step.
That's a great idea, man.
Stay tuned next week, and I'll take you to step two or whatever. And,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
yeah, and I appreciate that because when I started this thing, I was like, I don't. You know how when people are at a job, they kind of get stuck. Well, why do you do
mhm.
it that way? We've always done it this way. Well, I told
Yeah,
myself when I started this, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take advice right there, like you just said, and I'm going to let that roll, and I'm going to try to always make my channel progress, if that
you
makes
have
sense.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm trying to do some more outdoor stuff. Like I did the kind of a tabletop review on the Leatherman Signal that I won from CB Tactical.
Hmm.
And then I've been out trying to actually use the Leatherman, but my time,
Yeah.
it takes time to haul your stuff outdoors, get everything set up, do the recording, and I haven't. I got some of the tools used. I went fishing over Memorial Day weekend, so I got to demonstrate some of the tools, but I need to do the fire starter and that
Oh yeah.
kind of stuff. But it's just finding the time sometimes, and when you
Yeah.
have the time, then it's pouring down rain or it's so windy they can't hear you, or yeah, the drill.
People don't understand. Like when we first started doing lives, everyone was like, "You got to do more outdoor stuff." I'm like, "You got to understand where I'm at, man." I'm like,
Yeah,
"It's 30 degrees, the wind's blowing 40 mile an hour out here,"
yeah, yeah,
and so I finally did get outside a couple of weeks ago and demonstrated with my battle horse. I started a
yeah,
fire with it.
yeah.
But you could see I was in a sweatshirt.
Yep,
And that was just a few weeks ago, but now it should. Like I did some videos the last couple of weekends because I was at the river, so I was like, I'm gonna get my phone out and record and
absolutely,
throw it up and see what happens.
absolutely. So I wanted to highlight the cooperation between you and Boston Blades, and I'm really hoping to get him on when our
Mhm.
schedules meet. That's the other thing. Um, for any channel out there that would like to be on a Saturday chat, why just shoot me an email. It's just simply knifedelights@gmail.com. We're really into promoting channels, especially if you're a smaller channel and you need some exposure out there. As Big J just explained, that's how it works. Is somebody notices you, and that's what happened to me. RJ and Thrifty Kniffy noticed one of my early videos and did some shout outs. And that's what it's all about. And this knife community is just growing and growing, and I cannot keep up with everybody.
Yeah,
And it's great though.
yeah, there's a few. Like I see a couple of new ones. Like What's the Point EDC. I love his enthusiasm. I was actually texting Boston last night because I was watching What's the Point EDC, Frank from over there, and I'm like, get on here and listen to the first 5 minutes on how enthusiastic he is, how his pace is with how he talks and stuff.
Hmm.
I was like, it kind of invigorates me, and of course that got me watching Peterbilt Knife Guy, and there's a couple of good ones that you just run into, and you're like, and then you hone in on it, and then you're sending
Oh
them
yeah,
decals, and it's just a good
I've
time.
I've got to make some contact with Peterbilt Knife Guy. If by chance you happen to see this, now I want to reach out to you because I think he had commented on one of my videos here a while back. And as you're going through comments, you don't think about, and then all of a sudden he come out with that fantastic open tag,
Yeah,
and I realized his channel, and he's got a big channel, a popular channel, so I need to get to watching some of his things too. But
yeah, and
the
it
the
grew exponentially the last week or so. Like he just blew up out of. I think
oh
he went from like 6,000 to 10,000 or something like that happened
yeah,
within the
yeah,
last couple of weeks. But
and
he
that
can
is
get them sharp.
fantastic.
Yeah,
That
he
is
can.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, I
And then
like it.
on the kind of the opposite spectrum, Last Chance Knives,
Yes,
and
I actually got a
that
package going out to him today.
oh terrific. And I want to give him a shout out because that man has some knowledge, and I love the way he presents it. He can present it in a manner that I can understand it.
Yes.
Actually, he presents it in a way my son Junior could understand, and that's saying a lot.
Well, do you know much about him at all, or where he lives?
I know he lives out on the East Coast or out in the
Well,
eastern state there. Yeah.
yeah, he's actually where I'm from. He had moved from another state to where I'm from, and he must have heard me say something like, "I'm from blah blah blah," and he just shot in the comment. He put in one of my comments, "Hey,
Hmm.
I'd like to send you a knife to check
Yep.
out," and it's that 9 inch. I don't know. It's similar to like a Bravo, Bark River Bravo. Is like, "Hey, I'm up for it," and matter of fact, I'll send you a knife
Hmm.
and to check out. So we're doing a knife swap, and I'm supposed to get
Right.
his today, and I'm mailing his out. But I don't know. He's just a great guy, I think,
Isn't he?
and
Yeah. So down to earth. I really
yes,
enjoyed chatting with him last week.
yes.
So,
It's just you run into people like that who have that knowledge and don't care to share it, and and we're sending emails back and forth now quite frequently,
hmm.
which is awesome. I love networking and kind of getting to know different people and things like that, and it's been a great time though.
So I'll just say this again. I've said it before, but like with Last Chance Knives, I may not have come across his channel, but the fact he participated in an open tag 2 for Tuesday. So for the channels out there, if you want to start your networking, there's some great open tags out there. They're weekly. There's 2 for Tuesday, and if you put in your uh, title, if you name it 2 for Tuesday colon in the same format. So in other words, if it's TWO, don't put a two in there. Put TWO because YouTube will recognize that because there's lots of channels doing 2 for Tuesday, and then hopefully your your video will get promoted if that's the right word, or what do they say? Images put out by YouTube because other people are watching the 2 for Tuesday. But you got that one, you got 3 for Thursday, you got Fun Knife Friday, you got Fixed Blade Friday. Folks,
Yeah,
just jump in on them open tags because that's a good way. And then of course you always tag the channel that started the open tag, the # and their channel name in there. That way they should get, not always, but they should get notified that, hey, their channel got mentioned in your video. So the originator of that open tag will see. And that's how it starts.
yeah, and that's something I got to get better at. My problem is I got to pre-record everything.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
so I got to get better with, and this last one I was able to do it, but I had to reshoot it in between my
Mhm.
original shooting because two more people tagged me, and I've got to, if someone tags me in something, I like to be able to recognize him. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna get home from the gym. It's like 7 o'clock at night, and I just reshot the
Yeah.
video. I'm like, heck with it, I'm gonna reshoot it because if someone takes their time out to mention me in a video, I've got to recognize that.
And I have to apologize. I did it and I forgot to name any to tag anybody. And they're like, oh man,
Uh,
it was all uploaded. And I'm like, well, let it ride. But I should
and,
have
and
tagged some other channels.
Yeah, and you've said that before. You like, hey, if you make a mistake, just let it ride, shove it out there. People understand. I definitely understand because I'm trying to do it and I'm running into this exact. You're kind of
Mhm.
in a hurry. Maybe you got family over, maybe it's this or that. You got to get out of the house, and you're just trying to. And sometimes I rush it too much, so I've got to remember to slow down a
Yeah,
little bit.
I've done the same thing. Done the same. But then again, sometimes my off the cup, oh, I'm just going to review this and grab it and go with it and rush it. And it turns out to be one of your best videos. Other
Yeah.
ones, you spend all this time researching and trying to do this and that. And the next thing you know, the video tanks because it didn't come out right. So sometimes spontaneous works.
Do you know what my best video is?
What's that?
That stupid Ozark trail knife.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Pete sent me one of those, and I did a video on it, and then I went and bought more, and then I shipped him some because he was wanting to do them in a giveaway, and he couldn't find any more, so I was buying, like, 5 at a time and just sending them out to people. But that knife, that is my best video,
Yeah. You
and
just don't know.
here I am with all these bark rivers and case and all types of baloney that I'm doing videos on, and
But your average person out there that's not a quote knife enthusiast,
yeah,
not really part of, they're in their Walmarts and they're seeing Ozark Trail. So they're searching for Ozark Trail to see if it's a good knife or not. So
and it's
that's
a
one of the reasons why and that's why I do some budget knives. I've done the, what do they call them? From Menards, the Menards store
yeah,
brand,
mhm,
because that's a store someone can identify with. You're in there, you're, I don't know, picking up supplies for a home plumbing project or something. It's like, man, I need a knife. And you go over there. Oh, I remember seeing this. It's a decent knife for $10. It'll get me through my job today, you
yeah,
know, type
and,
thing. So,
I like Menards because, while we're on the subject of Menards, they carry Worksharp, and Worksharp
hmm
is a very affordable but very high performing, sharpening
hmm
company. They
yep,
got all types of different systems. So, I mean, Worksharp, I actually got the Precision Adjust with that upgrade kit, which I don't like to use that much because you gotta be careful around the tip using one of those things, but, I'm more into freehand, but, if you need a quick sharpening system that's good, go to
hmm
Menards and look for Worksharp stuff.
yep, yep. It's Guidesman. That's their house brand,
Yeah,
Guidesman.
yeah, I
And
love
Tobias brought up a good point that house brands of today. So you might say, well, a Guidesman, that's a cheap Chinese made knife, or whatever, whatever, whatever. But if you're looking at old slip joint knives, those house brand knives are the ones everyone are looking for,
yeah.
such as Shapely, is it? Shapely out of St. Louis, the old hardware store out of, well, that was just a house brand knife. Shapely Hardware didn't make those; they had someone make them for them. And there was another one called Hibbard and all. So those were originally, house brand knives.
Well,
So
while we're on that, like,
yeah,
I got these old bluegrass, commemorative knives,
right,
and I think that Belknap, I don't know if
okay,
anyone's ever heard of Belknap, but I think this was, this was part of that hardware store
mm-hmm,
type system blades, and, I showed these on a live, and of course, Tyler Gibson's like, "Yeah, blah blah blah," and I actually printed
mm-hmm.
out the information. It says the same thing he was telling me, but I was at the flea market one night, and these had been sitting in Lee's case for. I've seen him there for a couple years, and he had a decent price on them, but it was a Sunday, and he wants to sell as much as he can, and I'm like, what's it going to take, Lee, for both of
Yep.
them? And
Throw me a deal. Yep.
for like $40 a piece, and that's like
Yeah.
a 77 and I think a 77 and an 81 model. So
Yeah.
it's the first year and the fourth year, I believe, is what those are. But
Well, I do have a new item I added to my bucket list, and I told Mrs. Knife Delights, we got to jump in the car, we got to run down and check out Lee, and then we need to head to Boston and find that store that Boston found. Oh my
yeah,
gosh, oh, I would love to go into that store.
yeah. Well,
The
that
the
guy, one of those guys, is a Vietnam veteran.
mm-hmm,
Boston was talking about him last night because he went to go there. Boston went there and bought a couple of knives this week. And
mm-hmm.
you'll probably see that on the live if you watch the live tonight. But he went yesterday and the doors were closed and it was locked up. So Boston's hoping that, because we realize these guys are older, and
Yeah,
how much
yeah,
longer are they going to be able to do this?
yeah,
Lee, I think, is 85.
right,
Guy he buys
right.
from, a Vietnam veteran. I think he was Green Beret, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And but we just realized, and I asked Lee last night. I was like, "Hey, I got to ask you something, Lee." I was like, "I want to interview you, but I need some microphones because I can have my wife hold the phone, but I want to
Right,
get some
right.
of those mics because it's so loud out there, just the
Sure it is.
noise."
Yep, yep.
And he said he would do it. So as soon as
That
I
would
get
be awesome.
microphones, and I may even go to his house. I know where he lives, so I may go to his house even a way we can sit down like under a tree or something and just be quiet.
Wouldn't that be great? And
Yeah, because
that brings up another point. If there's a viewer out there that doesn't have a channel, but you want to share your knives, you can get a hold of me. I'm sure Big J, Boston, RJ, Thrifty Kniff. I bet any one of those guys would love to sit down and do a recording just like Big J and I are doing here. We would love to hear your story about, using knives throughout your lives, why you were an enthusiast, why you collected. It would be nice to be able to preserve that history. I'm big into history, so I
yeah.
know there's a lot of viewers with fantastic collections, but they're camera shy and they don't want to do it, and I totally understand that. But at the same time, it's a lot easier to do than what you think. I mean, I was intimidated, Big J, when RJ the first time he invited me on his live. I was like all nervous and like, oh, is my lighting okay? Is this good? How is this going to work?
Yeah.
But it really is very easy, very
Oh,
easy.
yeah. Well, my first one was with Big Red, and we did the same thing that you and I are doing right now, like a pre-recorded thing. And his
Right?
his was over Zoom, so I was really nervous. But he, like you, he gets you on 15 minutes early and just settles you down.
Yeah.
And that went really great. So then when me and Boss were wanting to do our live, RJ was just like, "Hey, we can just set up a little call on StreamYard, and I can kind of walk you through how to use stuff." So there's guys out there like that, like RJ, Big Red, who are so super helpful.
Oh,
Um,
aren't they?
oh, I'm forever going to be indebted to like your guys' team and Big Red. I mean,
Yeah.
I just you know where I'm at, and
Oh, I
I don't.
absolutely do.
Yeah, and I don't have. I got a few friends here, but I mean, people here aren't really into what I do. If you
Exactly.
watch my I put up a little bit of lifting videos once in a while, but that older guy that lifts with me, him and I are into the same stuff. So
Sure.
we've lifted together for over 5 years now, and but he keeps going out and buying Randalls.
Oh, man.
He well he
Oh,
yeah he always wants me to go with him because he goes to like the Tulsa Gun Show. He goes over to the one in Kentucky, that big show, and he always picks up a Randall knife, and every time he's picking up like two of them, and I'm like, and he brings them to the gym and he's showing me. And,
yeah.
oh,
Hey, this is a knife show. You got any other knives you'd like to show?
I bought some last night. I bought six, but
Oh, please share.
I want to show something that Richter Knives. I don't know if people know who he is, But I knew, so me and Lee were talking last month, and I'm like, you got to get some bone handled carbon steel case knives. And he's like, well, I can get the Sod Busters, but that's about all I can get. So I got this really beautiful Sod Buster.
Let me bring you up solo
Okay.
here.
All right.
So
So
there you go.
So I knew Lee was ordering these. So before I even got this, I reached out to Richter and I was like, hey, I've got a bone handled Saudi coming. And I was like, I need a slip for it. So he made this, and I had this before I even had the knife. I got this like earlier this week, but look at the back of it. The stamp he put on the back of it,
Oh man.
What's it say? It's like made in the USA, and it's circled. And another guy who does that kind of stamp, of course, is Randy over at Georgia Adventure.
Right.
But I wanted the saw cut, and what I'm going to do is probably drag some open offs down the middle and let it
Sure.
just kind of soak and move. But I bought it for this knife right here that I didn't even have yet. So this thing right here is a clean little blade. The centering's on. Of course, he had 3 of them, and I had to get the best one because the other 2, one of them had gaps, and the other one was off center a little bit.
Sure.
But the other one just had a little gap right here. So, of course, I'm trying to talk to Kevin. I got bad service while I'm out there. And when I say Kevin, I mean Boston Blade Reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'll take it. Just go back and buy it, and I'll send you the money. So I was all the way back. I was almost home. And that flea market isn't far from me, maybe 5 miles. So I was like, I'll just go back and grab it real quick. And so I went back and grabbed him one, too. And I got it boxed up and ready to go to him today as well. So I'm sending out 3 packages this morning. So one of them will be this, one of them will be something to you to check out, and the other one for Ken.
That's
over at
awesome.
Last Chance Knives. But if we look at how it looks inside the slip, I mean, it's just perfect.
Yep.
Richter done a good job on this.
He sure did.
So yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, one of my latest knives happens to be, is this Workhorse Trapper.
Oh yeah.
Let me get it on there. Now, my son Junior just begged me to do a review, and I walked him through it, and he kind of tanked the review. So I just finished shooting an actual review of this knife. Actually, I refurbished it and everything, and so that'll be up, I think, Sunday morning. I'll get it uploaded. But it's a Camco, and I really didn't know what I had when I bought it. But if you can see that really nice engraving on there, the Workhorses.
Yep.
And it's a Camco out of their Workhorse series. We can get that on there. There's the inlay. But I saw this at the antique store and looked down through the glass case. But just look at them strawberry bone covers.
Oh yeah.
Just wonderful. And I'm not a big trapper guy. I mean, I'm not against them. I'm not for or against. They're okay. Interesting pattern. But man, I saw these covers and I was like, man, I gotta have that. So
yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, the Workhorse here was kind of Camco's, what do you want to say, last ditch effort to save Camillus USA. So they had them made over in China. All those knife companies, around the turn of the century, they were all struggling so bad. They were trying to do everything they could, and they just could not keep up with the competition. So.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Camillus because the guy was actually reaching out to me last night about Craftsman knives because he was wanting to send a gift out. He's a big axe guy, and of course he buys off of Lee. And I ran into him last night at the flea market, but he was texting me last night. He's like, you got to realize Camillus made a lot of blades for a lot of companies. They made blades for Craftsman. They did the Remington knives, Buck. And I learned that from you. That Camillus made stuff for Buck, and you can kind of tell by that long nail pull. But I tell you a gift I got last week, and I was so excited when I did this review that went out yesterday. Thrifty sent this sow belly to me, this roper.
Oh, I saw that. Man, I don't think I got to comment on it, but I was listening to it as I was going down the road. But yeah, isn't that awesome?
Look at that bone cover, but look at the style. Look at this. Look at, I mean, Tom. Look look at how that design, and you got this small clip point as opposed to like a pin blade.
Right.
And when I opened this blade, I was like, holy smokes, look at the look. I mean, I just couldn't get over that right there, how that looks. And
So
yes.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to show you the spay blade for Thrifty.
Oh, sure.
So it has the smaller space. So he says he's not against the smaller ones, but I mean, look at the upswept and just the
Right.
design behind this knife alone. I just couldn't get over it.
Well, if you pull that little small clip out, what I was going to say is the way it's angled down, if you're cutting something, like on a flat surface, or you're
Yes.
trying to score something, it's like it's you don't have to tilt your hand. I mean, it's just at the right angle with your
Yeah.
hand without having to tilt and adjust your hand back and forth.
Yeah. For them nice draw cuts. But I mean,
Yep.
look at the fit and finish on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's unbelievable for, I'd say it's a budget friendly blade, but if you pick up a case, I hate to say this, if you pick up a case Stockman, you know what I mean?
I
I mean,
do.
you're rolling the dice, brother. You're
I
flipping a quarter. And to buy them offline, it's so hard for me to buy a case knife offline, but I did for the giveaway.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We're going to see what it looks like when I get it, and I'm not even going to advertise anything in a video or anything until I get the knife to make sure it's 100% up to snuff. So
Yeah. Well, I think Thrifty Kniffy deserves a great shout out because here's that Barlow he sent
oh
me,
yeah,
the Colonial, and it's an advertising knife from a company that's not too far away from me. And so
oh
this knife is probably from the late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in there. Just, I know it's synthetic, but
oh yeah,
even with all this age, for what, 40, 50 years old, maybe,
yeah,
it's in excellent shape. Beautiful knife. And I know Thrifty has sent out many knives to many channels. And
yeah.
Thrifty, on behalf of everybody, if I can do that, thank you so much for supporting the community. That is just awesome.
Yeah, and like I was saying last week on the live, I was like, it seems that those knives mean the most to me. Like I've got them
Oh,
displayed back here. Randy WSG sent me those knife stands, and I've got a knife that Doom Cruise sent me sitting on one of them knife stands. And it just seems that those blades are just so special to me for some reason. It just because
oh,
like I said, it's like a brotherhood, and like I said before, I don't have a lot of people out here into this same kind of thing where I can talk to them daily. Where myself and Boston are talking daily.
hmm.
Me and Doom Crew are talking daily. So it's just nice to finally have someone who's kind of into it that you can communicate with, and it's a fun time. And you're talking about that knife right there, how he got it, and it's from a company near you. At the flea market last night, I was like, Sarah, look for something from Iowa. So we were
I'm
flipping
always
over
on
all
the
the
lookout.
yeah, we were flipping over every Swiss Army knife we could find, because there's a lot of those little SD classics out
Oh,
there.
yeah. Yeah. They were
It's
great little advertising knives.
yeah,
Yeah.
so some of them have advertising on them, and we couldn't find anything from Iowa. I was like, how? And any other day, it wouldn't have been a problem.
It's like I was looking for a great knife to send to Jersey, and I
Yeah,
finally came across the advertising knife, and I remembered he liked advertising knives in particular,
yeah,
and it was Trojan Seed Company, and it was it was in fantastic shape, and I'm just like, man, I bet you Pete would like that. So I thought, well, it's not from New Jersey, but maybe he'd like something from the Heartland.
yeah,
So it's a Minnesota-based company, a seed company, but so yeah. When I'm out in the antique stores, I'm always looking for, oh man, so and so would absolutely love this one, So
yeah,
I'm trying. I'm always behind. I'm always
yeah,
behind. I can't keep up, but I'm always looking.
yeah.
So
Matter of fact, I bought I think 6 knives last night for Lee, and he's at this little table up by him. It's got some $5 tchotchke knives in it, and then
mhm.
another little tub had 2 knives in it. And one of them was this thing, a
Oh, let me
little
pull it up.
it's a little Texaco
Yeah,
advertising knife, and it
sure.
says Texaco Odessa OU think safety. So I don't know what the OU stands for, but I know Odessa. Odessa's Texas, right? So,
Right.
and it's a lockback. So, so
Yeah,
it's a locking knife. It is, made overseas, of course, but I mean,
sure.
it's got a little, you can put on your keychain or whatever. But I thought it was so cool because it was a lockback, and he's just like, just take that. He's, you don't have to pay for it. And I'm like, sure thing, bud, no problem. But I just thought it was cool, and I'll probably gift this away or something,
Sure.
because I'm not from Texas. So
Texas,
yeah, and I sent Jersey a little. I think it was an Amico or Amco,
Amco, Amco.
little
Yeah.
SD classic.
Oh yeah.
He's into that stuff, and advertising. I'm really, unless it's like that case sign up there above my sign, that is a super heavy little sign. And my son, who lives back in West Virginia, bought that for me for my birthday.
Oh,
So
awesome.
yeah, I couldn't believe I got it. He made my poor mom schlep it all the way out here in her suitcase. At that, and a buck 105. He's like, here, give his stuff to dad. And
There you go.
I picked up the sign. I was like, holy crap. I could not believe how heavy that little sign is. But they had found
Yeah.
a buck 105 cleaning out a dang, they were selling some property, him and his father-in-law, or cleaning
Right.
up a property to sell. And there was a little building that had like what's them Army foot lockers.
Right.
And inside that Army foot locker, they found this.
Ah,
Look at
that
that,
is great.
105. I
Yep.
mean, the knife does need cleaned up, and I'll get around to it eventually. But I think I've put some wax on it or something. But I mean,
Sure.
it's a pre-86,
Yep.
so and I can make this sucker look really good. So I'm not worried about that at all, and I can sharpen it to where it's like a razor. But I'll probably never use this. I'll probably clean it up, and
Mm-hmm.
it'll just stay in here. I got a buck display table now. You guys, you and Kevin have got me into these bucks so bad that my buddy at the gym, he actually used to own a gun and knife store, and he had a display table. It's got a glass top and glass sides, and that's where all my bucks are housed.
Right.
So, but yeah,
That's awesome. So how did you get into the Bucks then?
watching you and Kevin,
Okay. So we're a
so
bad influence?
well, I don't want to say bad, but it's definitely like the 700 series.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I forgot. Oh, I just picked one up. I picked up a 705, I think, that was in perfect condition. And I was like, there's only 5 of these? Because I watched a video Mr. Barlow did on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 5, so they should be
There's
pretty
only
easy to get.
there are only 5 in the series. Yeah, I've got 2 of them. And I've got to get the other 3. But
Yeah, you can get them, everyone but the, what is it, the 701?
that 701 is hard, and to
Yeah,
get
and
one in mint condition, you're going to pay for it. I mean,
I thought this one was decent until I got it, and look at that.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so I mean, he didn't put that in the description. I got it off
no,
eBay, and I had to pay for this. I think this was probably $50 altogether.
sure,
eBay, you get your shipping and stuff, but this is the 701. I've got all the rest of them over here too. But I
right.
mean, it's a clean knife, but uh, you know, I don't know if I sent that into Buck what they would be able to do with it.
I don't know, since it's no longer in production. I guess I would
Yeah,
send them an email first and ask,
yeah, I need to
can
do
you,
that.
can you, they'll replace a blade for like $10 if they have that blade available. So
Yeah,
a knife that's not been in production for a while, they're not going to have spare blades probably for it.
yeah,
So,
because this one has the different. This one has that like cat's eye nail nick, where like
yep,
the 301s and the 300 series has a different nail nick.
it does.
So
So I'll show you one of mine here that you're probably familiar. I know you're familiar with, but this is the mini trapper,
oh yeah,
and this one is has an engraving, and there was I don't know, oh, one of 1,500. So there's 1,500 of these,
yeah.
and ABCA, which I think is the American Baseball Coaches Association.
Okay. I've got the PRCA one of that. with that
Yeah.
black handle on it.
And I know you are wondering about the covers. Now,
Yeah,
if you look at this, in some ways, these covers look like they're synthetic, but these are bone when you get to
yeah,
looking at them. And without, really looking at the one you have,
yeah.
you see how smooth these are? I mean,
Oh,
these
yeah,
are just beautiful.
yeah.
I'm wondering if you don't have smooth brown bone.
Well, a guy commented on Boss because Boston did a video on it, and the guy's like, "Hey, that's
Yeah.
I forget what he said it was, but he put it in the description, some type of synthetic stuff. But then everyone else, he took it into that store, and that guy says it's ebony. So
That could be. That could
I don't
be.
know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll package it up one day and just send it to you, and because
Well,
it's in,
yeah.
yeah, and
All I
just like,
could
hey,
do is
look at it.
maybe compare what I have with what you had, but knowing that, this slimline was a limited edition like yours is, and they
Yeah,
used bone on this, perhaps that one of yours is bone off. It's awful hard sometimes
yeah.
to determine exactly what it is, especially on a limited edition, because they're not listed in the catalogs and that, so you just don't know always.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot more into these budget friendly knives. Before I was trying to buy Bark Rivers and GECs and all this, but chasing that 700 series gave me so much enjoyment, and I
Hmm.
was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah,
I want to get back into the budget stuff like when I first started.
right.
Because if I'm worried about, I got $300, I get a Bark River and it's going to come, the grind's going to be all messed up. I want to send it back. I could buy how many knives for $300?
Oh yeah.
Quite a bit.
Well,
So
just like this one here, I was looking for pretty much a full size toothpick,
yeah,
and I come across this on Chicago Knife Works, and it's ram's horn covers,
yeah,
and this is a marbles, and I think this was $11 or something like that.
yep,
Well, where in the world are you going to find a knife with ram's horn covers for $11?
yeah,
You're just not. I mean, you get back into some of the old case knives or something like that, but what are you going to pay for it if it's in mint condition? You're going to pay what, 150, 200,
yeah.
whatever.
I've actually got a
And
large case toothpick, a 65 through 69 model.
mm-hmm,
I got it at a yard sale up the street for $5.
there you go. Yep,
Man, I cleaned it up and took it back up there and showed him. I shouldn't have done that, but I was like, hey, I'll clean it up. I'll bring it back and let you look at it when I'm done. He's like, yeah, do it. And man, it looked like a totally different knife. And I
sure.
could just tell like his face, he's like,
Yeah, he's like, oh man, I let it go for $5.
yeah. And I also got, I don't know, I've showed you this knife before, the 102 at the same yard sale. It was
Oh
all,
yeah.
it
Let
was
me
also
let's
$5. So I got this, and of course, it was a little dirty and needed cleaned up, but I haven't even sharpened this knife. I've just cleaned it up. I just, you know,
Yep. I
it
love
was
the 102. I
it
just
was
love the 102.
it was filthy when I got it, and I like taking my time, and everything I do is by hand. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like putting any motorized stuff on a blade
Sure.
because I've actually had to repair them for people who have messed up doing it. So
Yeah, because if you don't go slow with it, you can really, yeah,
yeah,
you can damage them. Yep.
my buddy, he's only got one leg, and he just for fun, he works at the gas station in the morning so he can talk to all of us that are coming in there.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a little white knuckler that his son had got him and had his name engraved on it with a date. And he's like, "Can you please look at this and see what you?" And I mean, he had drug it through an electric sharpener of some, I don't know what kind of sharpener it was, but I mean, it was all marred up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I can fix it. I was like, I'm gonna have to tape it. And of course, it had that big upswept. I don't know what kind of blade it
Oh,
was. I did a short
sure.
on it and talked about it in the video, but it took me it probably took me 2 hours, because what I do is I take a sander, like a block drywall sander,
Mm-hmm.
I turn it upside down and put it in a vise. And then I use my hand motion, and that's how I do convex sharpening. Some of my blades have convex sharpening or convex edges on them. So that's how I sharpen convex now.
Okay. My question was, are you turning on the sander?
No,
Or
it's just a block. It's a hand sander that you just hold in your hand. You know, you can get them at Menards for like $10. And then it
okay,
has like the sheets that clamp into it.
okay,
I
yeah.
just take that hand, you know,
Oh, okay.
it's
I know
a
what you.
hand
Okay,
block, you know, it's got like a
okay.
grip on it. And I turn that sucker upside down and vise that grit into a vise. So then that sand, you know, your sandpaper is face up and you just
Yep.
take your hands and yeah, there's no motor.
Okay. So
Yeah,
we were talking about doing a series of sharpening videos. See, that could be part one. This is
yeah,
how I set it up and how I use sandpaper
yeah,
instead of this and this, and this is why I use the sandpaper. So I would
yeah.
love to see that setup because I had an old guy tell me long ago that he always used sandpaper. He
Yeah,
says the best way to sharpen a knife was sandpaper.
and it's funny you
So
say that because I showed Boston last night and sent him just a small, maybe 10-second video. I was like, "Hey, this is my little workshop area. This is how and I'll shoot you that little video, and you can
yeah,
see what I'm talking about. I mean, it's just a generic hand sander upside down in a vise, and if you take a blade, say you got a case and someone's a good example, someone's taking a knife like this and they put an electric sharpener and they've marred up and they got scratches all up the blade. You take that and you take something like that and you run it,
hmm
start at like 220 and run it to 600 wet, 1,000 wet, 1,500 wet, 2,000 wet. You'll be able to see yourself mirror polish style.
right, right.
Uh, and I showed you, I talked to you about that marbles knife that I had kind of
Oh yeah,
fixed up
yeah.
and
That's a
redone.
terrific knife.
And I did it the same way. And the stupid sheath on that thing is so dirty inside. I hate to even use it. I need to talk to Jo about making me one. But the first video I ever did was on this knife right here.
Let me pull you up here real quick.
Okay.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
my first YouTube video was on this knife right here. It's a Marbles Expert.
Mm-hmm.
I've asked for people to help me date it. They say like pre-World War II, but I don't know. But this knife, you know, it had chips all in the blade. It was all scratched up. The handle looked like it was dry rotten. But look how clean that is.
Oh
And
yeah.
we all know this is the first thing it goes because the handle comes loose and they get a tool in there, a pair of needle nose, and they strip that out or whatever. But
Sure.
I what I just told you about putting the block sander upside down and then using your hand motion, and now this has a convex edge on it
Yep.
and it's clean. It's just a clean knife, and I saved it. So that was pretty important to me because it was the first one I did on camera, and I'm like, I want it to turn out good because you're doing it on camera.
Yep.
But also just I just sanded the leather a little bit to get the dryness
Mm-hmm.
off top of it. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna put some Oberknofs on it. And I put that Oberknofs on there, and it just brought the leather back to life. I wish the
Mm-hmm.
leather would lighten up a little bit, but that would happen if I actually used it and had my hands on it more. But
It would. Yep.
yeah, but you know, I'm not going to use this knife. This knife is more of a piece that you don't use, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. I do.
But yeah, I definitely need a sheath made for it because I got it at an estate sale, and this is what it came with. And of course, the
Right.
inside's got a bunch of junk and stuff in it. I shouldn't even probably put the knife back in it, and I'm not going to. So
Yeah.
just gonna set it
I hear
down.
you. I hear you.
Uh,
Well,
so
I
yeah.
tell you what, this has been just a blast here this morning, Big J. I know you're busy. I can't say thanks enough for you taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit here and talk with us today. And I know that the viewers are certainly going to enjoy listening to this and getting to know you a little better. Um, you have a happy hour live. Why don't you talk about that just real briefly?
Okay, so happy hour live chats every Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. It's myself and Boston co-hosted. It was his idea. I just kind of built it, and you know, it's not that hard to build, but the credit should go to him because it was his idea. And so we just hop on there, and every other week we try to have a guest because we're kind of new at this. So
Mhm.
we think we need a week by ourselves, and then maybe do a little bit of research, find out who we want to get on. That way, it gives us 2 weeks to really focus on a guest and things like that. But we get on there and we just kind of shoot the bull. And ever since you've been on, you got us started on them raffles. So when I'm at the flea market, I try to pick up 4 or 5 of these, and
Sure.
we usually run like a little raffle, and someone will win a blade or maybe a little flashlight or something, and we just talk blades. We show kind of what our recent purchases are, and we just kind of talk. And we love hearing from the audience. We like
Hmm.
the comments. We like the questions. I try, you know what it's like trying to do this and focus at the same time. So I
Oh
try to
yeah.
pour as much chat comments into our live as possible.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
it seems like we haven't had any bad stuff in there yet. I know once in a while something will hit RJ's, but we haven't had to deal with that yet. But it's been a great time. It's been a blast. So we love doing it. And I think next week, I believe we have Tristan Barnett coming on.
Okay.
He's a younger guy, maybe 21, but he has a huge buck collection and is great at refurbishing and
Oh,
rehandling blades. So
oh, I'll make sure and catch that one then.
yeah. So everyone
Yeah.
tune in. It's a great time. We narrowed it down because we realized we were getting out of control with it. It was going like 3 hours.
Oh yeah.
So and
Yeah.
we got wives and we got animals and Boston still has children at home. So I'm like, and he's like, we need to narrow it down. I was like, well, 90 minutes, no matter what,
Yep.
we're cutting it off at night. If we got to do episode 2, we'll do episode 2. And
Exactly.
we've got episode 2 with Jersey so far. So
It's like here this morning. Seems like we just got started and we've been at it over 50 minutes. I mean, the time just flies. It's so enjoyable.
we didn't
Um,
show a knife till 26 minutes in, I think.
I know it. I know it. But that's
Oh,
all right. It was a good chat. And
yeah.
man, I'm so glad that I got to meet you and talk to you one on one here. And again, I'm going to try to get Boston on here for a one on one too. And then
Yeah.
maybe down the road, the three of us will get together for one of these Saturday chats.
Mhm.
I do get comments that people like to listen to this because it's kind of a podcast type
Yeah.
thing. And as one guy said, I listen to it while I'm cooking my son his breakfast. So
Yeah.
it's kind of neat, kind of
And
neat. And
I watch it while I'm at the gym because I'm usually at the gym at 8 a.m. So I'm watching your channel chat then,
oh,
usually as I'm lifting weights or whatever.
fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. So again, everybody, that's Big J. You've got to go over and hit that subscribe button on his channel, catch his live. Well, now it's going to be later this afternoon in a few hours. He's at last I checked 988 subs, so we're trying to get him to 1,000. So
Yep.
let's help him with that final push, folks. You don't know what it means to hit that 1,000. It just seems you
Yeah.
focus on, and I'll just tell everyone you've got to put the work in to get to that 1,000. And Big J has been putting that work in. He's a terrific asset to the knife community. He's generous. He's kind. He's enthusiastic. So once again, Big J, another Knife Delights. Thank you for appearing on Saturday Chat.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.